right, good evening, everybody. It's not a message. Okay. Hey Lynn, how are you? Belinda Lowry, how are you? Good afternoon. I assume you're on the West Coast. It's 7 p.m. on the East. Hey, how are you though? Leah, hi. What's up? What's up? Hey people. All right. Christy May. Hi, Christy May. Okay, Sunshine, one of our regulars. Good to see you. I see some names that I haven't seen before. Christy May, I know you're new. Trina, I know you were on last week. Let's see who else is here. That's new. Belinda, I think you might be a first timer. If so, welcome. Veronica, I think I may have seen you also. So we have some newbies and some regulars, and it's so great to see you guys as we jump on and jump into this topic. Let me first, hey Jeffrey, let me first offer an apology, which for last week. I understand we went dead last week. This was something that was completely beyond our control. In fact, I didn't even know it had gone dead. I was constantly talking, and so the entire presentation was filmed and will be available to you. But it was a technical glitch. You know, one of the problems of technology that we're facing on an occasional basis. So thank you guys so much for your patience and for sticking with us as we build our community here. Okay. Okay, Belinda says, hi, I'm new, but I followed you for years. Oh, that's awesome, Belinda. That's awesome. Christy May says, yes, sir, we've been watching you for a long time, ready to continue to put in the work for our marriage. Man, that is so wonderful. That's good stuff. All right. So look, I want to say this. I've been advertising and letting people know, and I need you guys to become committees of one and let people know. So please, on next week, and we will be meeting again next week, every Tuesday night, I want you to let people know so we can increase our users in the app. We want people to get this information. We want them to get this free community that we're offering. So please let people know. Okay, bring a friend, share the app with someone, whatever you have to do. Let's get this thing out here, okay? Oh my gosh, thank you, Belinda. Belinda says she and her husband have read the book and love it, and they're spreading the word. Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of heart and soul went into that book. I'll be honest with you, it's a point of vulnerability. You know, a lot of those principles have come from, 25 years of dealing with couples, and a lot of them Wendy and I are still incorporating into our marriage, and still, because look, for everything that we talk about here, that I talk about, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Marriage is not, and I repeat, it is not perfect. No one's marriage is perfect. Mine ain't perfect. Yours ain't perfect. None of these are perfect. So we're all trying to help each other and grow to where we need to be. Okay. Excellent. All right. So please leave your comments on in the app also, and let's get this ball rolling. The book. Yes. Sorry, Trina. The book is called Marriage Ain't for Punks. You can find it wherever books are sold. It should be in Barnes & Noble in the store, or you can also find it on Amazon. You can find it on Books A Million, Barnes & Noble online, Walmart, wherever books are sold. A Marriage Ain't for Punks. Okay? So please, get the book. and it's by the same name as the app. Yes, it's on Audible, and I do not have AI or anybody. It's me talking on Audible. It was a long time, took a long time, a lot of studio sessions to do that, but I believe it came out pretty good. All right, tonight's topic. I wanted to, last week we were talking about being married to a dreamer, and that was a pretty interesting topic, because I think I was surprised at how many people chimed in with the whole dreamer thing, Someone said, do you have t-shirts with maps on it? Absolutely. Go to our website, marriageaintforpunks.com. You will see a section there where we do sell merchandise with Marriage Ain't for Punks on that merchandise, as well as a number of other slogans. Please go to our website, marriageaintforpunks.com, and get yourself some merch. I still buy it myself because we wear it. So, but I want to kind of move on from last week's topic. If you got it, that's great. If you did not, like I said, it will be available to you. But there's something and this is whether you're married or single. I don't know how many of you guys are single, but this one is kind of, it's for both, okay? It's for married people, but it's also for people who are considering marriage. And if you saw it in the notification earlier, we want to talk about prenups. Is it protection or is it pessimism? Prenups. And then I know some of you have been married for years and you're like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, we're already married. Whatever mine is his and what's his is his, or what's hers is mine and what mine is mine, whatever. But the fact is, prenups are an important conversation that we must have. And as we go on today, you're going to find that it's a little bit more than what you think. It ain't just rich folk. So I do have a question for you. Now, if you trust your partner completely, do you even need a contract? When it comes to prenups, if you trust your partner completely, do you need a contract? And if you don't trust them completely, why are you marrying them? I want to let that sit for a second. If you trust your partner completely, why do you need a prenup? And if you don't trust them completely, why are you marrying them? So the question is a prenup good sense, or is it a lack of faith? Is a prenup protection, or is it pessimism? Okay? Now, I'm not telling you either. We're going to discuss it. We're going to unpack it. We're going to see what we can get out of this. Because the fact is, the real conversation here is not necessarily prenup versus non-prenup. The real conversation here is, what does a prenup reveal? What does a prenup actually reveal? Let's talk about that. First of all, I want to share with you some facts, because I know there are a lot of assumptions, but let me give you some facts that may be startling when it comes to prenups. 40% of newlyweds in 2025 considered prenups. 40% of newlyweds. I mean, that's crazy. That's a significant jump from previous years. And the group that's driving it the hardest are in their late 20s and early 30s. That's a group. Now, I know you might think, well, because of, the money that's being made on social media, et cetera, that, people now want to protect their wealth. They want to make sure that they're not giving up their wealth. Well, here's something else that's startling. The median net worth of people getting prenups today, hear me, is about $78,000. We're not talking about millionaires. We're talking about people who make about $78K, who have a net worth of about $78K. It's not a wealthy people tool anymore. People are getting prenups and they ain't even got a net worth of over $100K. Which is the most of America does not have a net worth over 100K. Let me make that very plain. But the idea of prenups is becoming a little more interesting. And not only are there prenups, but believe it or not, there are also postnups. Yeah, there are agreements you can sign after you're married that can delineate or make sure that what you came in the marriage with, if you both agree, that you keep that, or et cetera, et cetera. So, depending, of course, when you sign it. In fact, on the show that I was on, Married at First Sight, a lot of times it was in the contract. But a lot of times people would have additional postnups signed after they were married. A lot of that didn't make TV. Okay, Belinda says this. My husband asked for one before we got married. I was uncomfortable at first, but I prayed about it and got over it. I believe the prenup for him was because of his trauma. Trust issues that after 10 years have been worked out through counseling. Excellent, excellent. And the beautiful thing here is that you talked about it and you got over it. Okay, you talked about it, you considered it, you thought about it, and you probably asked yourself the question, is this a lack of trust? I mean, what is this all about? But you managed to deal with it and get through it, okay? Wendy says here, if your partner isn't entering the relationship to take from you, then a prenup shouldn't be an issue. It just says that what you come with is what you leave with. Although, if I help you build wealth, that should be a caveat in the prenup or postnup. Yeah, well, for most prenups, it's not really, the prenups only deal with what was prior to I do. Okay? What's prior to I do. Anything you build in the marriage together is considered community property in most states. So when we talk about, what you're building together, of course, that's everybody's money. That's everyone. And the tricky thing is when it comes to a prenup. I'm not an attorney. You consult your attorneys about this, for any real info. But when it comes to building together and what have you, if you are not married and you're considering it, you must get some consultation. Don't just do it. Now, with Belinda said, hey, look, it wasn't a big deal. Okay, she thought about it, they talked about it, and that was it. Now, here's something I want to share with you also, some more stats I looked up for you guys. And here's the one that will genuinely shock female audiences. 52% of women now initiate prenups. 52% of prenups are now women. Because traditionally, we thought it was just men who are trying to make sure their women are not, going along for the ride. But now 52% are women who initiate it. And 64% of respondents feel that prenups are suitable for everyone regardless of wealth. As I told you earlier, it's about 78K is the average. Now, here's one that's interesting. Studies suggest that couples with prenups actually have lower divorce rates. Yeah. One study shows that people with prenups actually have lower divorce rates. Why? Why would that be? Wendy said, women make more than men in our community these days, right? In a lot of instances, yes. I think men generally are still making more, but there are more women making big money. But here's the thing. The reason that these marriages with prenups tend to last a little longer is because of not necessarily the agreement, because I will guarantee you, most people who get prenups, once they're married, they don't even think about it because it's not necessary. It's not needed until it's needed. But the reason is because it takes a great deal of financial transparency, emotional transparency, and you have to really think about and question and come into an understanding of trusting one another. When you're going to decide or talk about prenups, you have to talk also about trust. And when you have those conversations before you're married, it lends to a longer engagement, a longer understanding of each other, and hopefully a longer marriage. Cheaper to keep her. That's for real. So here's the rule. So what's the real conversation when it comes to this? And I hope you guys are getting this because this really applies to everybody. What's the real conversation when it comes to prenups? The real conversation is trust, honesty, and responsibility. That's the real conversation. Trust, honesty, and responsibility. When it comes to a prenup and trust, a prenup does not signal a lack of trust. It actually tests the quality of your trust. Because real trust is not blind faith. That's so important for you to get that. Real trust is not blind faith. It's informed confidence. Informed confidence. And there are a lot of situations. If you have questions, please ask them. I'll answer them. If there are a lot of situations where prenups can serve a twofold purpose, okay, when it comes to trust. And we'll talk about that in a moment, because it's not only to protect you from your partners taking advantage of you, it's also to protect your partner from your bad decisions. So when it comes to trust, there's a lot to be said here. Everybody trusts each other until they don't. So how do you maneuver there? The bottom line is that, look, and here's where this goes. Everybody trusts each other until they don't. If you don't, then did you ever? Okay? You maneuver there because when it comes to trusting, when it comes to making sure you understand me and you know me and all that stuff, there must be serious, painstaking conversation. And everybody must be open and free and vulnerable to talk about exactly the issues and not something else besides the issue. And when you're at that point, then you're ready to reveal everything that you have. When we got married, there was no need for a prenup because I ain't had nothing, first of all. And secondly, but she didn't have a lot either. But secondly, there was nothing really to protect, and we didn't come into the marriage thinking about protecting from each other. That was not the issue. We came into the marriage believing that we were going to build together. This is what Belinda says. I think it's because we tend to have hard conversations early. Couples who create prenups usually have to discuss money, habits, debt, spending, family expectations, absolutely. Business ownership, future goals, children, and what happens if things go wrong. A lot of couples avoid these conversations until conflict forces them to have them in later marriages. The prenup process can expose incompatibilities before marriage or help couples build healthier communication from the beginning. Girl, you trying to drop some knowledge. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The prenup, look at the prenup as a tool. Now, I'm not telling you to have one. I'm not telling you not to have one. That's your call. But I'm saying that the prenups have become a tool because if you're going to do that, you must reveal not just your finances. You have to talk about your goals. You have to talk about your ambitions. You have to talk about your past. You have to talk about your history. You have to talk about the why, the what, the when, the where, the who. You have to talk about all that stuff. And that lends to more closeness. Now, the smart couple talks about those things and dives into those things, whether you have a prenup or not, whether you do or don't. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot of folk who have prenups. Maybe because I don't know a whole lot of folk who are that rich. But most people just go into the marriage, but they still don't have those conversations. But when you do have them, you're opening yourself up to some serious opportunities to become closer. So, on honesty, prenups promote financial transparency by requiring both couples to reveal all their financial details before marriage. Now, this openness can reduce conflict. This openness can help partners navigate challenges together. And whenever you're open like this, and you tell everybody, your significant other, everything, that pertains to you and how you handle issues or what have you, this can help you get over a number of challenges because you know where each other is coming from. Okay, Wendy has a question. What if a spouse spends all the money on frivolous things? Should the others take their name off their account or do a post-nup? Is that a trust thing? They were trusted in the beginning but messed up over and over. Okay, you're going to have to help me out, honey. What if a spouse spends all the money on frivolous things, spends all the money on frivolous things? Should the other spouse... Okay, she's hollering at me now. She's in the next room. Okay. I cannot understand you. Please write it so that everybody can understand. Is that a trust thing? Okay, if there's a postnup because there's been financial impropriety or what have you. Well, postnups are kind of tricky. Okay, and I don't want to get too much into postnups now, but postnups are kind of tricky. When we did postnups on the show, it was generally in the early stages of marriage. It's very difficult to do a postnup after you've been married for years. Okay, and because you've picked up some patterns now. Now, I'm not saying that's impossible, but I am saying that requires an attorney. It requires, a financial advisor or someone. But even more than a postnup, what you need is marital counseling to show you how to communicate. Because I'm convinced that the number one reason people say the number one reason for marriage is finances. That's a lie. The number one reason for problems in marriage or divorce is how people talk about finances, how they communicate about it, what they're communicating. If there are issues in your marriage around finances, then those issues must be communicated. Okay? It's not about a postnup because people immediately want to run to postnup, prenup, whatever. No, run to a counselor and find out how do I communicate with my partner so that they can understand everything that's going on in my heart and in my mind, and we can get some resolution. My marriage forced me to do work, Belinda says. We have gone through the fire. Happy that we fought through those things and made it to the other side. Absolutely. After a lot of laughter. All the money for bills. Okay, so let me go back to Wendy's question. What if a spouse spends all the money for bills on frivolous things? Okay, right. Well, yeah, that requires some financial counseling. And what a couple needs to do, this ain't even about prenup and postnup. What a couple needs to do is that if you are bad at handling money, the person who handles money best should be the one who handles money in your marriage. And it doesn't have to be the husband. It can be the wife, very easily. Okay? So if a person is spending money on the money that's for bills, he's spending on frivolous stuff, no, that has to be addressed immediately. And you have to get a mediator in there who can actually convince them or tell them that maybe they're not the one who's supposed to be handling the finances. Okay? Now, Joey, if trust equals informed confidence, then a couple with true trust would not fall out of that trust unless there was trust to begin with. You gave me a little tongue twister. If trust equals informed confidence, then a couple with true trust would not fall out of that trust. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I don't know if that's Joey or Joey or whatever, but Joey. But you're absolutely right. And real trust comes from two things: time, lived experience, time, okay, and communication. In vulnerable communication and time builds trust. When you're constantly communicating and you're constantly committed and you're constantly doing things and you're proving to each other, okay, that you can be trusted, trust will build over time. Okay, Talamisha said, I understand what she's asking. Well, I do too now. All right. So when it comes to responsibility, 65% of prenup users say they want to protect their partner, here it is, from their own debt. And this is an important part of prenups that we don't understand. A lot of times when people get prenups, it's not only to protect your partner from getting your assets, but sometimes it's to protect your partner from your own debt, because prenups can work two ways. You see, a prenup can also be an instrument that says, I'm coming into this with $500,000 in debt. I'm not going to marry you and have you exposed to all that liability. So we're going to have a prenup that's going to protect you from those debts. So that's another way of, now that brings on a whole new idea. That brings on a whole new dynamic. Now it's not a matter of me protecting you or not trusting you, or rather me not trusting you, but rather me protecting you. Okay? So that's something else that you need to understand about prenups. Now, so I think at the bottom of this, though, the big question is, when it comes to prenups, and this question that no one is asking here, is does a prenup mean that you have a plan B in case we don't work out? Does a prenup mean that I have a plan B in case this don't work out, so I can leave with my stuff? When it says it's not you, it's me, that's a great approach for a prenup request, yeah. This is where the conversation gets real. Okay? Because some people believe that a prenup is a plan B in case we don't work out. Plan B as an exit strategy, well, it entirely depends on what you mean by plan B. If your plan B is an exit strategy, in case something bad happens, then you shouldn't, then that's a bad thing. If your prenup is an exit strategy and you're going into it with the idea, well, if this don't work, at least I won't, no. That is not how you do prenup. That is not the reason. That's not a backup plan. That's half commitment. That's not full commitment. Wendy, you got so many fans here. Someone said, Ms. Wendy is your hype man from the next room, and I love it. Okay. Yeah. You can't be fully present in a marriage if you've already mentally rehearsed your exit. You cannot be fully present in a marriage. And this goes so far beyond prenups. If you mentally rehearse your exit and the prenup is simply an exclamation point, okay, because you don't plan on this lasting forever anyway, that needs to be examined. So if you're a single person and someone wants a prenup, you need to find out these things. Number one, is it to protect me from debt? Number two, is it because you legitimately want to make sure that your family's assets outside of this family you're creating, that those assets are not attached, that those assets are what your family has built for years, and you want to keep that separate as you build yourselves? That's another thing. But the most important one, are you planning this as a plan B strategy? And if you're planning it as a plan B strategy and you're not married to that person yet, that's a red flag. That's a definite red flag. Talamisha said that's why most people get a prenup, unfortunately. You're absolutely right. A lot of people do for a backup plan. Okay? But this does fly in the face of what marriage is all about. Marriage is not about a backup plan. Marriage is about full and total commitment. Now, again, as I've said, and I'll say it again, if you're protecting your partner from debt, that's perfect. Do that. A prenup can do that. It can protect your partner from debt that you may have accumulated. Also, if I came from a well-known family, my last name is whatever, and my family has billions and billions of dollars, and I can also indicate in that prenup that the money that our family has made, my family wants to keep that money separate from my marriage, that's a whole different ballgame. You guys can do that as well. But as you build your own. Anybody who's serious about marriage, once you get in marriage, you're going to build something on your own anyway. That's a whole idea. That is the whole idea behind marriage, is building stuff on your own. Okay, what else we got here? Hold up. Jeez, all these comments. Wendy, there are people who marry for money. Shouldn't the person with bank protect themselves? If you're mad that you're asked to sign a prenup and you're coming to the relationship with nothing, that should be a red flag. Absolutely. Absolutely. If I married Wendy and Wendy had, $50 million in the bank, she said, well, I want to protect those funds. I don't want to just throw that into whatever you're bringing and and it'd be attached to debts and whatever. I'd say, okay, fine. I get that. And here's something else you have to understand. Simply because you sign a prenup does not mean that money cannot be made or used in the marriage. It only means that once the marriage dissolves, or if the marriage dissolves, that what you came with, you leave with. But it doesn't mean that if you got $50 million in the bank and you get married, that $50 million is off limits. It doesn't mean that at all. Okay? All right, I have some other, hold up. Belinda, I truly believe counseling is crucial in marriage. Premarital counseling, counseling after you get married, counseling while you're still married, through life changes, through parenting, through hard seasons, all of it. The reality is the person you dated will not be the exact same person once you're married. Girl, you must have been reading my book. Marriage introduces a new phase, new responsibilities, new pressures, and you both have to learn how to navigate that together. Then you add children into the mix, and that changes the entire dynamic. You're absolutely right. This is something that we've talked about exhaustively. Every new season requires new tools, new understanding, patience, intentionality. Not only that, but marriage will expose a lot of things from your upbringing, the way you were raised, habits you picked up from your parents, unhealthy patterns, etc. A lot of those things don't surface until real pressure hits. Girl, you're writing a novel here. Hold up. I'm going to have to skip down a little bit, Belinda. I think it's important to have a safe space and the proper tools to work through these things instead of against each other. Counseling doesn't mean your marriage is failing. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And also, I went in it knowing that we will be together until one of us passes. I've had to pray hard and just continue to be obedient. My covenant is important. And you're mentioning when does it come on 50 million? You're absolutely right. That is the attitude. That is the attitude. The attitude is that you're going into your marriage completely committed, expecting to breathe your last breath with your partner. And if that is the case, then it really makes no difference whether you have a prenup or not. And that is the point here. It does not make a difference. The commitment, the covenant, is what makes a difference. Everybody's talking about this 50 million. I didn't mean to go off topic, but the prenup and everything that came with our issues came from his past and his upbringing. This is important. You're absolutely right. But again, if you are in covenant with your partner and you plan on being married until you breathe your last breath, then even if there is a prenup, it doesn't make a difference. People have challenges, they have issues, they have fears, they have all kinds of dynamics coming into a marriage, all kinds of things. And if you're really in love with this person, if you're really grown in love with this person, would you all stop with the 50 million? If you're really grown in love with this person, okay, then don't sweat the prenup. Don't let it be something that's going to destroy your potential marriage. Okay? Jeff says that defeats the purpose of a prenup. If you have a substantial amount of money and that person drains you dry, then there's no need for a prenup because there's nothing left to protect. Well, yeah, there you have it. I mean, if you have a substantial amount of money and you get married to that person and you waste it all in that marriage, your prenup is pretty much, yeah, you're absolutely right. The idea behind a prenup is that I have assets, I have businesses, I have money that I want to protect. And I'm going to put that money aside, and that's going to be something different than what I'm dealing with in my marriage. Okay? Not that, but if you ain't got sense enough to protect your money, then you're absolutely right. That does defeat. My sister wanted a prenup, but her husband, who was Nigerian, was against it, as it was not something they do in their culture. Yep, and I get that. Again, so many variables, so many different turns and twists as we discuss this. But the whole Plan B thing, Plan B as financial and legal clarity, yes. If you just want a Plan B as for financial and legal clarity, absolutely. We don't know what's going to happen to couples. We pray and hope that everybody stays married until they die. But if you have generations of wealth and you need clarity and your family requires that as you're getting married, and a prenup is something that's required, then fine. You guys work that out. But if someone's using that because they're not sure and they don't trust you and all that has to come out in counseling. That has to be something that you guys talk about. Because if that's the case, then that is a definite red flag. Okay, gosh, our time's up. And we didn't really jump into where I wanted to go, but I think that we did handle a lot of it, okay? All right. Well, look, here's the thing. A prenup does not mean you're planning to fail. It doesn't. It means you both are mature and you pretend, and you're too mature to pretend that failure is impossible, but you're planning like it is impossible. And you're committed because you're going to be in this thing for the long haul. A part 2 coming, Talamisha says. Well, here's what I want to do. I'm going to next week. I think we are going to recap some things because there's some things that I want to talk about. We're going to maybe touch on prenup and then move into a different direction. So y'all stay with us next week, okay? Bring out your friends. I want everyone here to commit to inviting one person next week, okay? Invite one person next week. Let's see if we can double our attendance. Complete out of curiosity. Did Alim's brother-in-law pay a handsome dowry? That's interesting. He said yes. Wow, That's excellent. All right, everybody, next week, when you bring a new person in, introduce them to us. Introduce them to us. Okay? Share the app, have them download it. I'm not talking about them sharing the screen with you. Have them download the app, and let's get this ball rolling, okay? And also, we're going to be starting another live for single people only, okay? So you can tell your single friends that that's going to be starting up also. All right? God bless you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's so much fun talking to y'all, even though we go all over the place. Hopefully, in the midst of it, we can get something that's really salient here, and that's a blessing to you. All right? God bless you guys, and I can't wait to see y'all next Tuesday. All right? Take care.